Hey Heather, alright, so here is your past life spread. So what we're going to do is look at where you were, what you did with the majority of your time, an important day with the relationships and feelings involved, another important day, the death and lesson learned. Alright, we're going to get hints of time throughout this usually, but we're going to put this away based on where we're going, and I'll start in a sec, but I just want to let you know, all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions that are coming through, and your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can based off of what comes through here and your current life, and I'll try to help however I can, okay? So let's start. And this is already a cool thing as I'm laying this down. We'll get to why. So where we're starting is here. So this is the Atlantis and Lemuria card, and it comes up, of course, if we're looking at life in Atlantis, Lemuria, or like a legendary place or a place of another realm, that kind of thing. Sometimes we've had Avalon, sometimes there's just different places, you know? So I'm not here to like shake up anyone's belief system kind of thing. So if you haven't dabbled into Atlantis or Lemuria, or maybe, you know, if you believe in it or not, whatever it is, just for the purpose of this reading, let's just go with it. And if you haven't, go ahead and look it up anyway. Or maybe you know all about it. So, but this feels very much like, if anything, we're going to Atlantis. Now, Atlantis usually represents like more of a masculine, aggressive energy, where Lemuria represents more of a like a passive, feminine energy. Not weak, just passive, you know. And it feels like we're going to Atlantis, but what's cool about this is when I get this card and we go to Atlantis, for the lifetimes that I go to Atlantis for these things, the difference here is it feels like we're looking at an aspect of you in Atlantis that's kind of in the beginnings of it, like the idyllic times before, you know, we've heard of abusive power there and things like that. And this is the most idyllic times, almost like people are first coming to form the country or what do you call it, region, or that kind of thing. It's almost like you're part of the coming together and forming of it. Now what's interesting is when I was shuffling, putting this stuff down, I got an image of a pilgrim, and at first I'm like, oh, okay, are we going to like colonial America? I don't know. So but when I laid this down, I got the pilgrim because it felt like you came here almost like on a pilgrimage. It feels like with a group of people, and it feels like it's the beginning of something new, kind of like how we view the Pilgrim era was, like, oh, the Pilgrims are the new guys in town, like that kind of thing. So that's what it feels like here, and it's very, very cool. I'm trying to feel out, because it feels like we're looking at a male aspect here, but I don't want to say that the males here are necessarily how we see males today. It feels like the energy is a little more ambiguous, a little bit more flowing. Now, how you can be making connections to this, for example, could be one, simply like I said before, if you know all about Atlantis and you feel connected to Atlantis, like you've had a life there, you feel like or maybe you've heard about it and you're like, I wonder, that would be a connection right there. Beyond that, for example, a connection you could be making could be one, do you like travel, first of all? Are you someone that likes to travel to new places, see new things, new cultures? Two, are you someone that loves the idea of a community that came into this life and basically likes the idea of being rooted down somewhere, where you are establishing yourself and able to grow and expand with the people around you, that kind of thing, the community, the roots, the growth, that kind of thing. It can also mean, on the other hand, the opposite connection, right? So you can make direct connections like that, or an opposite connection would be if you're someone that's like, I don't want to stay put, I want to move around from here to there, everywhere. So it would be an opposite connection, because a lot of times our souls, having experienced a lifetime, likes to doing a certain thing or whatever, likes to come back and experience like the opposite or something completely different, just to like get all those lovely lessons in. But this feels like it's such a lovely thing that it feels likely that you'd be someone that is either part of a community or yearns for the community that makes you feel like, I could be here, I can grow here, this can be where I can put my roots down. So if that's been something that is important to you in this life, or a theme, that would be a connection there. Another thing, what did we talk about? Okay, so we also talked about growth. We talked about not just growth in yourself, but like a growth of the community, like being part of something, like a project that's exciting to you, where you can see that what you put in, you get out too. Like what you put in, you see the, the results. So you might be someone in this life where you maybe like you need to see the results, if that makes sense. Like whatever work you're doing, you are most pleased or you feel more fulfilled when you're able to see the results or the fruits of your labor maybe more quickly. You might be someone that enjoys, when it's instant gratification. So you might be someone that enjoys instant gratification. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, if that's part of your personality in some way, that is a direct connection. An opposite connection with that would be someone who's, you're cool just putting in the work, and what comes, like that kind of thing. But here it feels very much like what you put out, you see it instantly. It's almost like you plant a seed and the next day it is growing, and there's something about momentum moving forward with that, which I feel like is coming through here as a message that whatever's happening right now, if you're having a seed of an idea, for lack of a better term, if you're having a seed of an idea and you're trying to foster growth and nurture something that you're working on, like a project, or it could even be something like a relationship, or it could be about getting a new home, like that kind of thing, or it's basically just a project, something you hold dear to your heart and you want to see it grow and flourish. This would be a message to let you know you are right on track. Trust your intuition, keep moving forward. When I laid this out, it felt like there's something with you having to, honestly, it feels like it has to do with manifestation and abilities to manifest, abilities to create, abilities that are like in a more spiritual sense. So if you actually find that you are dabbling in psychic development or mediumship or whatever spiritual modality that is interesting to you, that's calling to you, that you feel interested in, if there's something like that going on with you, the message would be to go head first, dive in. Like, that's what it feels like when I laid this out. It's like, okay, this chick's got some gifts and she needs to start either working on them, or it's not about even finding them. It's like I feel like you would already know what I'm talking about, but it's about cultivating them is what it is. And I feel like the word cultivation is a key word in this, okay? Which just keep in the back of your mind the word cultivation, and because there is that beautiful synchronicity thing that a lot of us are going through, seeing the numbers in places, it can also happen with things like this, such as me saying cultivation, cultivate, and then just pay attention and see if you see that word out and about, or if someone says that word out and about, don't look for it, don't search, but just go on your daily thing and see what happens. Or the concept of cultivation, there's something there, but it feels very much like there's something growing, and it feels very much like you're right on track. So if there is something that you have any questions about in regards to that, like, oh, should I be doing this, should I be doing that, maybe it's risky, maybe it's scary, go for it. If you are excited about it, it's pulling at you, and you have good ideas coming forward, those are downloads, go with it. If this doesn't speak to you, then that's okay. It's just this would be something coming up for a reason, meaning maybe it's time that you start playing with certain things that you might know you have, certain gifts you might know you have. It could even be like reading tarot cards. It doesn't matter. Reading auras, whatever. Playing with crystals, like whatever pulls at you. Just make sure that you are following your excitement, following your intuition, and not denying yourself those joys, okay? So keep making connections where you can here. We're going to move to the card, what you do with the majority of your time. So this is the nomad card in general. It means kind of just like moving around, someone who likes to move around. And I feel like this applies to you coming into your new home here, because it feels like until you got here and established yourself down with this group that you're moving with, and building this community, or I should say cultivating this community, it feels like you moved around a lot, almost like you were with like a caravan of people, you know, just moving around and living that lifestyle of not having a home base. So this story is about you coming to your home base and cultivating that home base. But there's also something very particular about it, because it's not this place. It's Atlantis is Atlantis, but and it's not like you're the first person to step in there. But again, I felt like it's relatively young, and there's something very like potent about that. So I feel like, if anything, that would mean that if you find that you are someone that likes the idea of getting in at the grassroots of certain things, if you're all about getting in at the ground level and building from that foundation, that would make a lot of sense, and that would be a connection here. It would explain that part of you that likes to do that, but it would also let you know that you're so capable of it, and it's almost like it should feel like second nature. Or if there's any questions about it, stop doubting yourself, and this is being shown to you so that you can always tap into this knowledge, truth, energy of this past aspect of yourself, or I should say other aspect of yourself, who is more than capable of doing that. No fear, just moving forward. So this could indicate as well, this card coming up, that in your past or up till recent times, you may have felt like you were lost, or felt like you didn't have footing, or felt like you didn't know your place, or maybe it was even like you had a yen to go out and get away from where you're from and see the world and see this and that and travel, and now you're coming home, that kind of thing. So if you connect with that, great. If not, that's fine. But keep making connections where you can with this card, okay? This is a card of movement. But again, we're putting it with the movement coming to an end. This is going to sound weird, but it's the movement coming to a end here at your home base in order to move forward and up, so to speak, if that makes sense, right? It's kind of weird, but it makes sense to me, so hopefully it makes sense to you. So let's go to the first important day here. So here we have the graduation card. So for the graduation card, you know, a lot of times it can mean, you know, school, like literal graduation. Other times it can mean graduation in the body, or graduation of the mind, graduation spiritually. And so with this graduation card, the relationship involved is the karmic card. Okay, now this is getting interesting. So here it's peaceful as well. Now, usually when we see this karmic card, it just means that we're dealing with someone in this life that you have karma with left over in your current life. So here though, it feels like it means a little bit more than that. So it does feel like there is someone karmic involved, but it's the kind of thing where it feels like you may have already just like taken care of it in your current life, not to worry about it. Or if this person's in your life, it's going to come to a close naturally very soon on its own. As I'm talking about that, there may be someone coming to your mind. If that's the case, that would be your intuition, your higher self, bringing forward the image to your mind. And a lot of times we like to discourage the higher self in that way, where we're like, oh, it's not my higher self, it's not God, it's not source, it's not angels, it's just me talking to myself, giving myself these, you know, like basically answers, but I'm not sure what it really means. In this case, trust it. It's like a little bit of a test in a way. Like, that's your intuition, that's your higher self. If we're talking about someone that you feel where there's karma that's come to an end recently or coming to an end, and someone pops into your head, that's your higher self telling you that. That's the person. Now, what we're talking about graduation here is very interesting, because there's a few graduation aspects to this day. It's not a day. It feels like it's a over a period of a short amount of time, which happens a lot with these readings. So with this graduation, it feels very much like we're graduating everything, all the aspects I just mentioned. That doesn't happen a lot. With these readings, usually it is like a graduation day, or you're graduating, you know, from this mindset to this mindset. But here it feels, let's start with physical. It feels like we're graduating physically, where your body is adjusting to not being on the move so often. What this means is it feels like this aspect of you, for the first time, is able to truly rest. And it's almost like they don't want, it feels like because I get images and impressions, but I also get feelings during these readings. And when I say that, I literally don't want to talk right now. I literally just want to sit here in silence with you, and I want you to sit in silence too. There's something about this person, this aspect, which I know I'm not going to sit here in silence with you for, as long as it's not going to happen. But honestly, what I want to say to you is, after this reading, if you feel urged to, go sit by yourself in silence. Don't be disturbed. Go do a meditation. Go sit and just listen to your breathing, or pay attention to your breathing. Listen to the birds, listen to whatever, the natural sounds, whatever it is. I feel like this is being brought up because it's a message for you to be with yourself, and only with yourself, every day for a specific amount of time, whether it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You need to give yourself this time. I feel like it's very important. But this aspect that we're looking at here, physically we're talking about, again, first time he's able to rest. This does something to the rest of him. So with this rest comes a relaxation of the mind unlike he's ever known before, because there was a feeling of kind of like a survival mode always going on until he found home, and now he can rest. It's almost like the first time he's ever heard silence before. Internally, there's something very profound about that. So here we see a graduation in his body, because he's able to take in silence in a new way, or take in rest and relaxation in a new way. There's a message coming up too. Make sure that you don't allow any guilt to play in to your you time. You may have guilt. A lot of women struggle with that, especially if they're mothers, or if they have partners who are, require their time, or whatever the case may be, life in general, jobs, yeah, okay. But make sure that you do take that you time. And when you do, try your best to uncloud it from any guilt. It may take a process, it may take time, especially again, if you're someone who kind of maybe grew up in a religious household and there was guilt there. It may take time to get away from that, but that might actually be the whole reason for this, is to tell you that you actually need to take the time in order to detach from lower vibrational feelings like guilt, okay? And there are other feelings that go along with that, which are common sense. You can think of yourself, of course, but here guilt is coming up. Doesn't mean it's guilt, but it could. So if that's the case and you feel like that, go along and just try it. That's all I want you to do. Just try to disassociate your daily energetic goings-ons, for lack of better terms. Disassociate it from guilt, from shame, from feeling like you owe someone something, that kind of thing. Try to disassociate in the sense where it's like a disattachment, or there's a concept called non-attachment. That's what I feel like is coming through for you, is like a, hey, go ahead and, it'd be great if you can practice non-attachment. When you do this, I feel like you're going to see an evolution in your, I want to say life in general, but it feels more like your spiritual life, which of course enhances everything else. So let's move on to, we went physical, so the physical is going to affect the mental. It's just going to affect the mental. So if you are looking for something in your life, like a boost in your mental state, you want to maybe think more positively or less judgmentally, maybe you want to be sharper, more focus. This rest of the physical brings, which is weird, but the resting of your physical will bring about the sharpness, clarity, and focus of the mental that you may feel like you want or need. If you rest your body, your mind will become more attuned in that way. And I feel like that's important to say. Now, what else? The spiritual. So we have the physical, we have the mental, and then we have the spiritual graduation. So we're all seeing this as kind of a package here, which I've never seen before, which is so fun that all this is coming just from right here. So the spiritual evolution is coming because it feels like your soul at this time is a relatively new soul for a human. I'm not saying it's a new soul here. I'm saying it's new. It's a new soul as far as being a human in a human body. So it feels very much like the spiritual growth that we're talking about here has to do with growing spiritual as a human. I don't want to say for the first time, but I want to say for the first time just because it kind of indicates a beginning of sorts. So we're going back here and we're looking at kind of the beginning of your spiritual growth as a human being. Now, if you've ever been drawn to anything non-human, that would be a connection here. I feel like we're looking at someone again, like there's something about this person adjusting to the humanness of this life. So that's all I really have to say about that human, non-human thing. If you connect with that, great. If not, at least right now, if you don't, tuck it away for a later time, because these things can also come up in time to come, years even, and something might happen and it'll trigger something and you'll remember something was said here about non-human, that kind of thing, if you're not already into that kind of thing. So keep that in mind. So we are looking at a package deal here where you're advancing and evolving all at once. Now, what's really interesting is what they're bringing through is the concept of the ascension right now with the new earth. If you haven't heard about that yet, please Google new earth and ascension and even ascension symptoms. We're seeing a lot of people waking up right now. If you feel like you're having your awakening, this is the reading for you, especially if you know that you're in your awakening. If you don't know, then I feel like you're going to have it, either it's happening right now or it's coming, and you might not be labeling it as your awakening, but it truly is. Okay, so what do I want to say about this? I feel like there's something here. Okay, so yeah. So what's interesting is we're looking at the beginning of this packaged evolution of a person and their soul as a human. Now we're coming to this current period of time where we are having an ascension period in the new earth right now in your current life, our current right here. This is what we're doing right now. We're doing a new earth ascension thing. So if you are feeling any ascension symptoms, it can be ringing in the ears, it can be achiness, it could be headaches, it could be you're starting to see things or feel things. Maybe you've had your heart chakra feel like it's heavy, like you've gotten very emotional lately, like been able to, like you feel like you're carrying a lot in your heart center. And I know you can't see me, but I'm like clutching at my heart center just to guess what it feels like. But even if not, that's okay. But just look up ascension symptoms because there's a lot of them. So see if anything's going on with you. But it feels like they're showing you the beginning of it and now coming full circle to your own ascension right now, which is very cool. Now, what's interesting is they're linking in the karmic card. So the karmic card with this new earth, the ascension, the shifts, we're finding that we can get rid of karma simply with a thought. We can break contracts now, break cords. Once you're aware of it, you can let go of it. It's a process for some people, other people, it's but a thought. It's as easy or hard as you make it. I feel like there's a message that you have to know how much power you have, how much power and control that you have over your own abilities, your own evolution. And again, it's as easy or as hard or complex as you make it. So that said, if someone comes into your mind about where you feel like there is karma with them, and you feel like you might be getting the hard end of the deal, so to speak. By hard end, I guess I mean, you feel like you're getting the brunt of it, like maybe the karma is you have to caretake for someone, or you have to put up with someone else's shit, like that kind of thing. You don't have to do that anymore. Karma is not necessary anymore. Which also means we're seeing people incarnate with no karma. We're seeing a lot of kiddos come into this world now who are just pure light beings raising the vibration, that kind of thing. So just know that you have the power to release all the baggage that you may feel that you have. If there's any baggage or burdens when it comes to other people's, you feel like you're tied to people, hard to move on from past relationships, hard to let go of people, even, especially family members. If you're moving on up in your vibration and your family members are just kind of staying and they're kind of, maybe they're narcissistic, maybe they're negative, maybe they bring you down, make you feel powerless. If that's the case, I guess I'm not saying your family members, I'm saying even if they are family members, it doesn't matter who it is, you may come to a time when you need to learn to let people go and let people go on their journey and you go on yours. Maybe your paths will cross again, maybe not, but that's okay. What's important is that you follow your gut with this and that you follow the path of It's honestly, it sounds hard to let people go, but it is the path of least resistance, really, because it will feel like a flow. Once you get over the hurdle of letting them go, saying, okay, they're on their way, I'm on mine, and once you go on your path and you just full on dive head in, it's going to flow. It's going to feel so much better. Just putting that out there as far as any relationships where you feel like you need to let that go. The feeling card was the peaceful rolling right along. So it's kind of enough said. That's basically what I was saying is it'll feel like a flow. And the momentum will pick up and push you right along like a beautiful, ride down a river. Won't be a waterfall, don't worry. It's just a lovely, steady ride down a beautiful river kind of thing. But you have to make sure that you are taking the steps. And what I'm talking about actually for like, if you're more of a left brain person, it's just self-care. We're talking about self-care. What do you want to do? Do you want to surround yourself with assholes, or you want to surround yourself with your tribe of people who speak your language and want the best for you and encourage you on your path? It's your choice. So that said, let's go to the next important day. So here, I love this card. It's the Wowzer card. And this typically means something surreal is happening, or something, whoa, or you're leveling up in your soul. You're seeing something you've never seen before. It's fantastic. It's amazing. It feels unlike anything, and maybe you don't have words for it. So we're getting this for this day. Now this is cool. Okay, this card is the soul group card, and I was just talking about finding your tribe. So the soul group card doesn't necessarily mean a group, finding your tribe kind of thing. It can mean just talking about someone who is in your soul group, someone you see over and over again, your soul family, that kind of thing, and you learn lessons from them. And a lot of people don't realize, even people in your life who give you shit, like who are like not your friend, even enemies, you're still learning from them, and they could very well be your soul. They could be part of your soul group. It doesn't mean you have to like them or even spend any time with them, but it's just interesting to know that sometimes those people that you really don't like are actually here on a soul level to help you learn stuff. So just keep that in mind. In this case, honestly, I feel like we're talking about your soul tribe. So what's happening here too, the feeling is content. So I'm trying to see what's happening, because I feel like it has to do with a group of people. Okay, what the big deal is here, we're going to go back to this card. Why we're looking at a Wowzer card is because what they're showing me is you doing something you never thought you'd do, and something that almost goes against everything you have learned up until this point, which is leaving the people you traveled to Atlantis with to join another group of people because you feel so in tune with them. We're talking about your soul tribe. So that's interesting. Okay, now I feel like the soul tribe concept is linking in with the development of your abilities and spiritual path. And it feels like if you cater to yourself in your current life and do what you love to do. Let's say you feel pulled to take a class in energy work or Reiki, or I'm just going to say like even art. You know what I mean? Like if you feel really pulled to take a class, you're going to find people there that are going to be part of this group. You're going to want to find people that speak your language and do what you love to do. It doesn't mean you have to give up old friends like this aspect did. And it's not like they were enemies. It's just that he left their company. Basically, the majority of the days now are not spent in their company like it was his whole life until he came here. Now the majority of his days are spent in the company of a new group of people who are growing with him at his rate, if that makes sense, or your rate, because it's your aspect. So the feeling is of freedom, independence, but also loved as a group. There's such a vibe. It's almost like it doesn't matter if you're with them or by yourself. You're always all together. That's your tribe. And I want to say again, you're going to find the right people if you follow your excitement. And I said take a class, but it can also be like going to a place that you want to go to. Let's say you love the water, and oh, there's a yoga gathering at the water, or there's a fire twirling group of people at the water, and that's always been interesting to you. You know, I know I'm pulling stuff out of my ass, like this complete random stuff, but you get my gist. It's basically, if you're excited about something, you want to try something new, and something comes across your radar for a gathering of people to go learn something or be together, and it really vibes with you, don't put it off because, oh, I don't feel like getting out of the house today, or oh, I don't know, maybe, you know, or I promised so and so I'd be over here, or I'd meet them here, or oh, I need to make sure the kids have this stuff, you know, that kind of thing. Don't put it off. Go. Don't make excuses for yourself. You gotta go. The longer you make excuses, the longer you're putting off feelings that you're gonna want to feel, because I feel like on the other side of that, on the other side of following your excitement, are going to be feelings of like joy and happiness, and kind of like the word that's coming through is groove, like a grooviness, a chill, being chill and with the. It's sometimes it's hard to articulate the feeling, but that's basically it. Is on the other side is like you feel like you're in a groove with people who are so accepting, non-judgmental. There's something about that, because I feel like it's going to boost you even further towards doing what you love, because surrounding yourself with those kind of people who don't judge you, they're going to help you find what you need to be, your purpose, your mission. They're going to help you along your way with that, okay? Keep that in mind. Don't make excuses to not do anything. It also is the kind of thing where you might get tired beforehand. Don't bow out if you get tired. Make yourself go, okay? I'm not saying don't listen to your intuition. If your intuition, your gut is saying don't go, then yeah, don't go. But I'm talking about like, you know, typical excuses kind of thing. I'm not saying you're someone that does make excuses, but if that's the case, then just hear me out and keep this in mind, if that makes sense. Alright, so I want you to keep making connections, by the way, with this. Keep making connections here. Let's go to the death card. Now, this card is the natural death card. It's like the river. You can kind of be like, the river of life and death. Natural death card. I'm trying to see what's going on here. It feels like he is outside. It feels like there's natural elements. It feels like, it's almost like, yeah, there's homes, there are dwellings, but there's something about the outside, the wind, the breeze, something about the first stars are coming out. The first stars are coming out. And the sky that they're showing me looks so different from the sky that we know here, which is very interesting, because I do a lot of like journeying, you know, with the consciousness, and I haven't seen this before, and it's almost like a piece of art that we would never. It's like there's light, and then there's the night sky encroaching, and you can see the night coming, but it's not as gradual. It's like, I can't explain. It's beautiful. It's so crazy cool. It's like, so you're out there and you're just watching things in the breeze, on the ground. There's long grass, and you're seeing the first stars in the night sky, yet there's still like fuchsia and blue, where it's almost like the sun is still going down, so you still see the fuchsias and blues, so you're able to see this full spectrum of color. I'm seeing fuchsia and blue, which means blue is a very healing color, and fuchsia or pink is interesting. I've used it for healing, but not fuchsia. I've used like light pink, so I've never had fuchsia come, so I don't know if there's a color, like if that's associated with anything for a reason. If you connect with fuchsia, that's your own connection to make. But it's a beautiful, beautiful scene, and this is where you pass. And it's almost like taking a breath and knowing what's coming, peacefully letting go. So there's this theme, I feel like, is in this reading altogether, of letting go. If you're struggling with letting go of certain things, it could be because you're trying too hard. Letting go, it's like learning to let go is also a process of letting go in itself, if that makes sense. Learning to let go is also a process of letting go in itself. That's really interesting. I'm going to write that down. I've never heard that one, but it makes perfect sense. So if you feel like you're trying to force something, that's what I feel like is coming through this message of, if you feel like you're trying to force something, or something is not going according to plan and you're trying and trying, let go. Step back. Stop trying so hard. It's the kind of thing where it's like you want something so bad, and then finally you're like, screw it. And then once your focus is away from it, then you get it. You know, you've had that happen. Everyone has that happen. So it feels like it's that kind of thing. So just be patient with the process. Be patient with yourself. The more patient you are with yourself, the more forgiving you are with yourself, the more you allow yourself to pace yourself, the more you don't give in to frustrations that come up, the steadier you're going to see, like, coming up. It'll start to, like, steadily, like, basically is what I'm saying. For lack of better words, I'm sorry I don't have words for it, but you get what I'm saying. Like, your life, what you want, it will come, and it will come, and once it hits, it will hit and then steadily expand. But you gotta let go. Okay, so let's get to the lesson here. Now, the lesson, this is the brain card, the mind card. It has to do with logic. This, again, has to do with letting go. You may be someone that is in your head way too much. You need to get down to your heart, get down to your sacral chakra. Look up your chakras and look what that means. You got to get to your belly, your heart, your root. You need to ground yourself. You need to feel things. If you're not allowing any emotions to come through about things, time to do it. Just go for it. They may feel icky at first, but you got to get through that. It feels, again, like when you're in your head, and here's the hard part too, because it also feels like you're very intelligent. This also feels creative as well, but very intelligent. It's hard for intelligent people to let go of that, because intelligence is something that has always been rewarded, and it is something to be cherished and be proud of. But it's also an obstacle. When you're very intelligent, you like to kind of stay in that mind space of analyzing and understanding and ABC and 1 + 2 = 3 and that kind of thing. And that is not very helpful when we're trying to do some spiritual expansion and awareness and growth on the inside, right? A lot of it happens when we're not paying attention to it, because we're not like focused on it logically, analyzing our spiritual evolution. We're just allowing it to happen, and we're just feeling it. So I feel like this card is basically just saying, get out of your head, get into your heart. Feel your body, feel the emotions running through your body, not your mind. And that's also going to help with letting go, because you're letting yourself out of your head. That's where you hold on to everything. Grudges and patterns and all these kinds of things. They're all in your mind. Get out of your head. Get to your body. Get to your heart. And that's going to help you in the letting go process, which I feel like is very important for you. The letting go process. But there is something beautiful about us seeing this aspect of yourself in the beginning of your human evolution, so to speak, the human soul evolution, so to speak, and then coming full circle to today, where it feels like you're just full, you're full and ready for, if you haven't already begun, you're going to be on your way very soon. Right now, even probably you don't even know it. Going on with your ascension, your awakening, everything's coming together, everything's coming to fruition now. Even though, of course, when I say now, time's an illusion, right? So anyway, keep making connections where you can with the death and the lesson, and with everything we've gone over. So there is your past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were able to make some connections, and thanks for letting me read you.